Thank you, everybody here live and watching the replay. I've got Dr. Melissa Protaka with us today, and I'm so excited because I've been following her for a few months now, and we're, part of each other's communities. So I'm excited to finally get to learn from her. And she's got a presentation she's going to share with us today. So welcome.
Hi, thank you. This has been a long time in the making, but we're here now, and I'm excited to share this with you. It's something that I've just been doing with my family, and when something becomes normal in your own life, you think everyone else is doing it too. So then you would think that, oh yeah, others would really benefit from knowing this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially with children. I mean, it can be a little bit more challenging because we have to be careful. We can't just like throw wormwood and black walnut whole at our children.
Here, chew this.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and share this beautiful presentation that you've got. Right? Can everybody see that?
Yep, it's up.
Awesome. Just let me know. Next slide, and I'll move it.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like she said, Dr. Melissa Partika, we're focusing on children, but really we're focusing on the family. Everyone can do this, everyone can benefit from it, everyone probably needs it. So that's kind of where we're going to start our exploration if you want to go to that first one. So we're exploring parasites, and I'm sure it's a term you've all heard, or at least maybe have. Normally, I've only heard it in association with like third world countries, at least with humans. And then always with my dog, every year you go to the vet, you check for parasites, you deworm. That's a normal part of a pet's life. Well, why is it not a normal part of our life? So that's kind of what we're exploring here today with parasites. So what is a parasite? The most basic definition is it's an organism that lives on or in a host drawing nourishment. I've actually heard someone during their pregnancy refer to their child as a parasite because technically it is. It's drawing nourishment from the host body. So you can say that with love, right? So of the 100 trillion cells that are in a human body, 90 trillion are non-human. So that includes parasites, bacteria, fungi, and viruses, like when you get sick. The goal here is not to fully eliminate because we actually do need them. We're in a cooperative partnership with them. So the goal is to maintain an 85 to 15 balance between the good and the bad parasites or bacteria, or however you want to term that. So there's an estimated, and I say estimated because they truly don't know, but an estimated 1,000 known varieties, but there's only testing for about 10 to 12 different types. So even if you were to go to the doctor and one didn't look at you like you were crazy when you're asking for a parasite test, whether they do it by blood or a stool sample or however they test you, oftentimes the results are going to say, no, you don't have any because they're only able to test for a few. So, yes, while the test might say no, more than likely, I I'm not a betting person, but I would bet it's 100% that you have parasites in your body. It's not that you're going to die. You're not going to be overrun. You probably won't even know that they're there because a lot of them, and you kind of just pass through or do their thing. And like I said, some are even beneficial for you. Um, with that, there's an approximate about 500 strains of bacteria, yeast, fungi, and viruses just within our intestinal tract alone. So, what the intestines, not so much of the stomach itself, but then also predominantly in the large intestine and the colon area. They hang out in there. They get the waste that's coming through. and they continue to break that down. That way, our bodies can make the most use of the foods that we are consuming. That's why it's best. Well, and we'll get into this, but that's why it's best to consume beneficial foods, because whatever you're feeding your body, you're also feeding these parasites. And there's certain parasites that thrive on not so good stuff. So if you're not providing that to them, well, they're gonna move on and find somewhere else where they can get it. And then the ones that do thrive on the healthy food, well, those are also beneficial for you because they continue to break it down, and then your body can absorb that a little bit better versus the whole food. So, of what we need to focus on in a parasite cleanse itself, there's four main ones, and they're pictured here. And I know the pictures are a little graphic. I wanted them so you actually would know what they look like. I thought about putting in some kind of cartoony ones, which would be kind of appropriate with children. But that's why you know truly what they do look like. And most of these are going to be microscopic. You're not going to see them, with the exception of the worms, which are considered cestoda. Um, those can get large enough that you do visually see them. So yeah, there's four types. You have the protozoa, which are microscopic single-celled organisms. And then you got the trematoda, and I may be saying these wrong, so just bear with me here. You can try and say them yourself too. And those are most commonly going to be your flukes, like liver flukes or something. Um, they kind of, if they are large enough and you do see them, they might kind of appear like rice, about the size of rice. Some can be colored, some can be clear. It just kind of depends. And it depends on what they consume too. And then you have your cestoda, your tapeworms, your roundworms. Um, roundworms are kind of like an inchworm. How like they kind of, I don't know, they bend like that, and that's how they move. They don't last very long outside of the body. They get dehydrated and they'll just dry out. And then your nematoda, which are like your pinworms, your hookworms, and your roundworms. So those you might also be able to visually see, but generally they're microscopic. And then externally, things that we don't necessarily consider parasites, but you have ticks. I know it's prime tick season where I'm at, and so we try not to have them bite us. They have some of them have like the Lyme disease in that. Not most of them don't, but that's an area of concern. And you just really don't want them leeching on or like biting onto you and sucking your blood, and uh, they cause irritation to the skin. So I try to avoid that. Then you have leeches. So if you're in like a stale water pond or body of water, you can get leeches. Even medically, they still use leeches, and it kind of will draw out the blood. It might draw out an infection of a certain area. So they just like, kind of attach to your skin, and they just draw your blood. If you were to just put some dish soap on your skin, that makes them like retract and naturally go away. And that way they're not releasing any toxins as you're trying to pull them off. And it's the toxins themselves that causes the irritation to the skin. And then mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are also technically a parasite. They're drawing nourishment from your body, and they also cause an irritation. Okay, so let's get to the next slide. Okay, so do I need a cleanse? Um, like I said, you're probably 100% likely to have parasites in your body, but that doesn't mean that they're causing you harm. So you can do too many cleanses or too long of a cleanse, or be too drastic. And you know, when you're doing it naturally, a lot of the stuff I'll talk about is actually still nourishing your body in other ways. So it's not going to cause you harm if you do implement them into your life, even if that you're not seeing if you're not seeing any parasites coming out or anything. But some of the ways to know if you do need to do a cleanse is through some common symptoms that you may be experiencing. And these may medically be recognized as other things. They may legitimately be other things. So if you've tried other ways of treating these different symptoms and yet they still persist, then definitely a cleanse or a cleanse can be your first resort, first thing that you try. So you might experience some skin issues, like just overall random itching or rashes that don't really have a reason for them. So it's not like you were out playing in poison ivy. Just they just randomly start to show up. You might have eruptions, which are like an opening or a breaking of the skin. It might have some pus or some blood or something. Even pimples can be a symptom of parasites. It's your body trying to get rid of the toxins that they're expelling, which is their waste. Um, and then if these are persistent, definitely I would recommend a cleanse for those. Other skin issues might be like some swelling under the eyes, and not just your typical you didn't get enough sleep last night, but like a persistent over a couple days swelling or unusual eye markings. Even within the eyes, your eyes might turn like a yellowish color instead of white. Um, you might have some more of the red veins kind of showing. Um, your eyes just might be dark around them. So, again, these might be other symptoms as well, like being tired as a parent, but recognize that they might be symptoms also of parasites. So, within your food changes, you might start to notice just intense cravings. Maybe your kid is generally good at eating their vegetables. Yeah, they're going to want candy, but when that's all they want, or all they want is just like bread or breaded food, and they will not eat the vegetables that they used to love, even a few weeks ago, start noticing those things. So especially like the sweets or the starches, like I said, any of the sugars, the breads, that kind of stuff. If you start to notice any allergies or intolerances to different foods that before weren't an issue for your body, and then the unusual appetite changes, which might be intense cravings, might be just not eating the foods that you normally enjoy or the kids normally enjoy. And then being constantly tired. And yes, I know parents, I see you. I feel you. But this is something that is beyond can be explained. So just a chronic fatigue, maybe like restlessness or sleep disturbances in the night that you just either you can't sleep through the night, you can't get to sleep, you wake up early, you wake up randomly through the night, um, you're restless, constantly moving around in the night. So those are just kind of things to pay attention to also. Even cloudy thoughts, which like brain fog or um, hard time focusing or remembering, those might also be symptoms. And then with your tummy or with potty problems. So those that are still in diapers, you're monitoring the output every day. And you're probably talking about it because that's what parents do, right? We talk about how many times they went to the bathroom and what the color is and the consistency, but that's how you're gauging someone's health. And somewhere along the line, I think we forget that or it becomes taboo to talk about. But hey, before you flush and before your little one flushes, just take a peek, gauge the health. You'll be able to notice changes from day to day. But if you start to notice, you're constipated, really hard, can't go, or the opposite, whether you're eating or not, it's coming out. And then bloating also. Parasites are really known for causing bloating. This could be confused for, a gluten intolerance or some other food allergy or something. So again, just kind of notice the differences. You might try different things with the food and see if it causes a difference. Um, and it's not like I said, it's not harmful to try a cleanse, and if that eliminates or decreases the symptoms, then you know that, maybe that's part of the problem. Also, being moody, being irritable or nervous when that's not normal, that could be a symptom of parasites because they're like wreaking havoc in your body if the bad ones get out of control and out of the 85-15 ratio. Um and yeah, you don't know why, but within your body is being frustrated. It's kind of like the pebble in the shoe analogy. What's a pebble in your shoe? Okay, that's fine, but you keep it in there and you keep walking. Well, next thing it's going to start to irritate you. You get used to the pain and discomfort, but it comes out in your mood and the way that you interact with people and deal with situations that would have otherwise not been an issue. But you're in this like low level of irritation or discomfort or pain. And so that's going to come out through your mood. And then mouth changes. Maybe you start grinding your teeth. I think the technical term is bruxism for that. So there's teeth grinding, there's teeth clenching, which could be a sign of stress also. But like I said, with the moodiness and irritability, that could come out as the like, teeth grinding or teeth clenching also. And then physically within the mouth, you might get like white spots on your gums or even on the tongue might get like a white coating. So when you're brushing your teeth and you notice that you like scrape your tongue, that could be a sign of parasites and that their toxins, they're like your body is trying to expel them. And so that might come out through the gums, through the tongue, and just like the skin issues. And then just other possible symptoms that are you didn't quite fit into a category. You might notice like a joint pain or a popping. Generally not in kids, but in older people, you might notice an arthritis. Although kids can get, I think it's called rheumatoid arthritis or juvenile arthritis. And so parasites can absolutely cause that. Might have like a nasal irritation. So whether that comes out as like a constant stuffy nose or even a sneezing from the irritation or just like a constant drip. The nose is just constantly running. Um, Anemia. So if you do a blood draw and you notice that you have a low iron count, that could be a sign of parasites. Anemia or low hemoglobin, low iron is quite common in women. So just kind of mind that, know what your normal is, even if it is below the recommended normal. And then from there, gauge if it goes lower for, like I said, no reason. That could be a sign also of parasites. And a few other random ones, just a random muscle cramp or headaches. Headaches are also a sign possibly of parasites. Okay, then we'll go on to the next one. All right, so we know what parasites are, and we know some of the symptoms that we might be experiencing that might indicate that we have parasites. So then, where do you start, right? um, with all of this, like when you're doing these initial changes, I recommend to try to do them at least 1 to 2 months to prepare the body before going into the any of the tinctures or anything. That way you've provided like a solid baseline for your body. It's healthy and cleansed, and that will minimize and possibly completely eliminate any of the symptoms that you experience as part of the cleanse. So that it may eliminate your symptoms and then you won't necessarily need to take the more extreme measures. And I say extreme, but when it comes to herbs and that, it's definitely not as extreme as the medical options. Um, and then it's going to naturally detox you. So you want to start by cleaning up your diet. And I recommend this for everybody. We have so much processed foods in our diet these days that if you can't read the label, you don't necessarily know what you're putting in your body, and therefore nature didn't really intend for it to go into your body, but it might taste delicious. So I see you there. The goal is to eat as much real food, unprocessed food as possible. Once you have a solid baseline of that, yes, you might go to a family gathering or you might go out to eat here and there. If you have it on a one-time exposure here and there, your body already has its own cleaning mechanisms in place that when you're eating processed foods constantly, you live in a constant state of inflammation and irritation. But when you have that solid baseline of clean, healthy foods, and then you introduce, a one time of processed foods, your body's going to naturally cleanse it out. And if you do experience any symptoms, they would be gone within a day or two at most. Might be within even a few hours, or no symptoms at all from eating those foods. You want to minimize or eliminate sugar. And so I know sugar has gotten a really bad rap. The goal is to minimize or eliminate like the processed sugars, the bleached, the bagged baking sugar that you use, the stuff that's added to our foods. I was eating a can of peas yesterday and I looked at the label. They add sugar to peas. No wonder it's been delicious my whole life, right? So just kind of mind what's going into your food. There are natural sources of sweeteners that you can use. I mean, fruit in itself is sweet, but with it, it's not like it's just the straight sugar coming out of it. You also have other nutrients and other fibers to help your body process those sweeteners. So it's just not like a straight shot of sugar. Also minimize or eliminate your dairy. Um, and I realize that dairy has been propped up as a requirement in your life, especially like for children. You transition from formula or breast milk right into your dairy milk. You got to get your calcium. There's a lot of calcium in food. Broccoli is a great source of calcium, but that's not ever talked about. They just want you to eat the dairy or drink the dairy, consume the dairy, cheese, all of that. But humans are the only mammals, animals, whatever you want to call us, that consume milk beyond the infant stage. And we're not even consuming our own milk. We're not consuming human breast milk. We're consuming milk that's made to nourish calves who grow very quickly. So I don't think we need that kind of nourishment in our bodies. But, this is just, of course, it's going to be some of my opinion. It's based on my own personal lived experiences as well as information that I've consumed and read through other studies. So take what I say as a grain of salt. Ultimately, you're the expert on your own body. And I recommend that, you educate yourself in all that you do. And, with that, that's also with how you consume dairy or if you choose to eliminate it. Another thing to minimize or eliminate would be simple carbohydrates. So that's like your breads and like white rices, that kind of stuff that provides a very quick hit of starch and with that sugar, but not a lot of nourishment and nutrients behind it. So like with grains, you can do your wild rice, um, or any of the grains, the couscous and quinoa and that kind of stuff. Even a whole wheat, um, minus the risk of the glyphosate, but it can be beneficial to the body. And then, okay, the last thing that I recommend to minimize or eliminate is alcohol. I know there's research to support having it in moderation. There's research to say that it's completely horrible no matter how much or how little you consume. So, with that, just recognize how it affects your body. If you are a family that tries to introduce it as a cultural norm, with your children, yes, you can have a sip of my wine or whatever that looks like. um, possibly to avoid overindulgence later in life, like our society has done. Um, just you recognize how it's affecting the body, the behavior, all of those things. Okay, we're done. We're done eliminating and minimizing. Now let's increase. So increase fermented foods. These they introduce good bacteria into the gut, which help to break down your other food, and that might be in like a low sugar or a low sweetener yogurt. Natural sources are kimchi, or you can do a kefir. I do a like an almond milk kefir that I'll make sometimes, or sauerkraut is a great source. Even pickles can technically be considered a fermented food, and my family loves pickles. We go through jars of them. And then also, so you minimized or eliminated, you increased, and you can also supplement then with a probiotic. So that's introducing good bacteria into your intestines that also help to break down the food and then help your body to absorb those nutrients. So you can use the food to naturally help the parasite detox, like I said. And this includes, so in addition to just eating healthy, natural foods, you can also specifically target through like garlic is a good source. And so with garlic, and kids might not like this, so it might be a little harder for them to do that. And that's fine. It's definitely not a necessity, it's an option. And that's what I'm presenting here is just options. You can take a clove of garlic, chop it up into small enough pieces that you're able to swallow it, and then just swallow those pieces whole with a glass of water or something. You don't want to chew it up. First of all, it creates like a burning effect. But just to swallow it, and then it will get in and it'll start to break down further on its own and do its job within the gut when eliminating the parasites. You can increase up to 5 or 6 cloves a day, consumed over time throughout the day or all at once if that's how you do it. Uh, I I do one when I remember. So it's your choice and your body how you want to do this. Pumpkin seeds are also a great way of doing this. My daughter, so you just want to put like a handful in of pumpkin seeds and then you chew on them. And a handful is going to be different for an adult, especially for a woman versus a man, and then for a child. And your body is an expert in all that it needs. And this is also true in your hand size. That's like your portion sizing. When it comes to a portion of meat, you want about your palm size. When it comes to a serving of like those pumpkin seeds, just whatever fits in the palm of your hand. Throw them in, chew on them, eat them up. You can mix them in if you have some yogurt or something. I like to put them on, like I have sweet potatoes, so it adds a nice texture to it. But pumpkin seeds, they paralyze the parasites, which then gets them to let go, to stop hanging on inside. And then your food and your drink and your other things will help pass them because they're not clinging on anymore. Uh, I just start my day with a tablespoon of them. That's about what my hand size is. So just kind of see what works for you. Also, so there was a study in Nigeria that found that papaya seeds, they help to clear parasites from the body. So with those, they can be consumed whole, they can be crushed, ground up, or even as an extract, or like a tincture. So within some liquid. I think I have mine like as a powder, and I just mix it in with a smoothie or something. You want to start small with like half or up to 1 teaspoon, and then work up to 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. And you really only need to do that for a week or two. And then by then they've done their job. And then they're not as much of a necessity. Of course, if you want, you can continue to keep them in your diet, and they're just gonna keep providing you nourishment, and if not, your body will pass whatever it doesn't need. And then cloves. So they're known as an antiseptic and a germicide, and they also help to eliminate intestinal parasites. And with that, so you can chew on 1 to 3 cloves a day. They have numbing properties. So if you chew on them, your cheek or that side of your tongue or even your whole tongue might start to go numb. So just be careful that you don't, like, bite your cheek or your kid doesn't bite their cheek or bite their tongue. It's really great if you have, like, a sore tooth or something. There's I think Young Living and probably the other ones too have oils. So Young Living is called Thieves, but it has the clove oil in it, and I just brush with it, and it helps to cleanse my mouth of the bad bacteria. And then if you have any gum soreness or anything, it helps with that too. And it also helps with bad breath. So that's a benefit. If you don't want to chew on the clove or use that oil, you can take a clove supplement, which is just like encapsulated. You ingest it, and then it does its job inside versus starting out in the mouth. And you can do that, a week or two, up to a month, longer if you choose to continue. So you want to also hydrate. You want to use those fluids to replenish your own cells, but also to flush out any parasites that as you're numbing them and getting them to let go of hanging on, it'll flush them through your body. Drink filtered water. I know that that might not always be easy. If you live in the city, you're going to have little to no control over what's in your water, whether it's chlorine or fluoride or whatever else that they have in the drinking water. They recently acknowledged that in all of the hormones and everything that we are ingesting, whether it's through our milk, because that they will give cows hormones to keep them lactating, whether it's just through your own hormone supplementation or just other ways. Well, we pass whatever it is that we don't need to absorb. Even with supplements, if we are taking different supplements and that, you'll notice that your your urine is very colorful because you're passing what you don't need. Well, that goes into the drinking water system, and our filtration, like the city filtration, isn't prepared or adequate enough to filter that small stuff out. So they've recently acknowledged that all of that is in our drinking water. You can buy filtration systems, whether it's a whole house system or just one of those pitchers. Make sure that it's not just like a generic one, not generic, but that it's like a more advanced one that can eliminate or filter out those smaller particles. Additionally, in addition to just the water itself, you want to add to it because so much of our water and our food is depleted of nutrients. So in the water, you can add minerals, like using mineral salt. I use Baja Gold, or there's Kona sea salt, which is out of Hawaii. There's also Redmond's. I think that's out of Utah or like the Salt Lake City area. And then also you can add in diatomaceous earth, which contains silica, and that really helps your body to absorb nutrients. We're quite depleted on silica, which it's also considered a calcium, so that's a good source also. You might have heard of diatomaceous earth. Like if you're a gardener, you put it on your plants to keep the bugs off. And there is just the general like gardening level, but if you get the food grade, then you can consume it, your pets, your children. Um, I'll get more into the details of that, of how much of that to consume and how long and all of that. With water in general, you want to drink about half your body weight in ounces. So, and sorry, I don't know the European conversions. So say like your kid weighs 50 pounds, then you want them to drink about 25 ounces. And if you weigh 125 pounds, I don't know that conversion. Okay, let's go 150 pounds, then about 75 ounces. And it's a goal. I know it's hard to drink that much water. Um, so just do your best, and that's all we can ask for. You also want to open the detox pathways. You can do that like through dry brushing. If you get the like bristle brush and you brush out your skin, it opens the lymph nodes in your body. Body movement, just in general, moving around, whether you're moving throughout your day or if you're actually doing exercises, just lifting your kid up and down or going up and down stairs. That's movement. Your body is moving. Well, that while you're physically, and so that's getting the detox pathways opened up so that you can eliminate the waste and the parasites and what their waste is also. You can sweat. Right now, all you got to do is step outside, and we're in the middle of summer, and you'll sweat, and that is a way of your skin, your body, getting rid of different toxins and detoxing itself, which is why you should drink water. But you can do that through workouts, through a sauna. You can do like the red light sauna or a steam or even a dry sauna. Breath work. If you take big breaths, that is moving your body and opening those detox pathways. So that's another option. Just doing, a few big breaths a day. I know it's something that my kid and we do. Um, I started it with her, but it's backfired. But when she started to get frustrated or angry, I would just bring her back to the moment, like, okay, let's take a deep breath. So when she started to notice, Mom, I got a little frustrated. She's like, take a deep breath. So your kids will help reinforce this within yourself also. You can take like an Epsom salt bath or adding like baking soda or even bentonite clay, and that helps your body to absorb these. Like Epsom salt is good for magnesium, so baking soda helps to neutralize any acids, your pH, and then it just again opens your detox pathways. Castor oil packs, like on your liver or your stomach, that can help you and also possibly help decrease or eliminate any of the parasite symptoms because it's working internally as your body absorbs that. Um, and then you can massage any like of your primary lymph node areas. So you have down here in your throat, even in your neck is like right here is a major area. Your armpits are a major lymph node area. Within the breasts also, um, in the groin area. So like that's not a very good visualization, but you have the hips and it's just like within the hip area. And you'll be able to feel them. They're kind of I don't know, like a garlic clove size. So you can feel them definitely in your throat area. And so other areas, the backs of your knees, your elbows, a lot of those are also like major lymph node areas. If you just massage them or even just dry brush them, helps open the areas. You can do acupuncture is another way, or even acupressure of the different points. So to tell if your pathways are being opened up, you'll notice that you're having more regular bowel movements, one, possibly three or more a day. I know like my kid goes to the bathroom after eating every single time. And then like your pee is lighter or even clear. And then you sweat with physical activity, which there's people that don't sweat because they're so clogged up. And then your sweat will smell cleaner too as you continue to detox. So if you're detoxing a lot, the smell will have more of the sweat and even your stool and your urine will have more of a distinct noticeable odor. And then when your body is cleared out, there won't be little to no odor, even with sweat and even with your bowel movements or anything. And that's how you know that your body's been cleaned out. Sleep, we all know, is vital for for so much, but also with parasites too. You want to sleep like for adults, it's recommended like 7 to 9 hours. Again, know yourself and what works best for you. For toddlers that are like 1 to 2 years old, you want like 11 to 14 hours as best as you can. And that includes naps too. So it's not just you have to sleep 14 hours at night. I don't know if I'm even capable of doing that, but just cumulative throughout the day with naps and everything. Preschoolers, so kids that are like 3 to 5, they need like 10 to 13 hours of sleep. Once they get to school age, so like 9 to 12 years old, they need like 9 to 12 hours of sleep. So those numbers actually match up. And then teenagers need like 8 to 10 hours, and some might need more because they're growing still. And that's like 13 to 18 years old. Um, so then also, you might have heard about detoxing, like doing a parasite cleanse around the full moon. So about 3 days before the full moon, um, your body starts to create or release a serotonin, and with that, it causes the parasites to naturally let go. And so that is it can be a good time. Your body's already naturally triggering them to let go and then for the detox. But you can start a detox anytime. Um, Anytime would be beneficial, whether it's in conjunction with a full moon or randomly on a Tuesday. It's whatever whatever works in your schedule. So, what do you need to do the cleanse? So you have your supplements that you can add. You can add like 2 or 3 of these. I talked about the diatomaceous earth. Add it in your water. You can even add it in your smoothies. I put it like in my dog's food and I mix it in. You can mix it in like with a oatmeal or something or yogurt or in their drink. You just want to make sure that it's a powder, so you don't want to get in your eyes because it has little um, like crystal structures in it, and that could like cut your eye and stuff. It'll irritate it. And then I mentioned, oh no, I did the papaya seed. So yeah, you got your grapefruit seed extract, which is like a tincture type. It's a liquid. You can put some drops in. Oregano oil is also beneficial. If you're sick, you can put a little bit of oregano oil on the bottom of your feet. Maybe mix it with a carrier oil, some coconut oil or almond oil or something, because some people will be sensitive to it and it can burn their skin. But otherwise, oregano oil, consume it. You can cook with oregano, just the herb itself, and then berberine. And there's berberine in a bunch of different plants. All of this is included in a lot of detail in the handout and the guide. Look through that. Definitely, if you are purchasing things, look on the label and it'll tell you what the suggested serving size is. It doesn't always include it for children. So, my recommendation, the way that we do it in our family, is whatever the recommendation is for adult, I just do half. And you can even start smaller than that and then work up to about half and just see, again, watch your kid, see how they're responding, watch their output, whether it's affecting their behavior changes or their stool or their dietary changes. And then you have different tinctures to choose from. With those, choose whatever combination it works best for whatever your symptoms might be, because each one kind of targets different things. In general, they just treat parasites as a whole. Some you might not be able to find. That's not saying that you're not cleansing if you don't include all these things. I in the guidebook I put together a couple of links. So like at the bottom of the tinctures I put Rogers Hood. So it's like a done for you. They have you can either get 3 or 4 different tinctures that include everything that you need, and then they also have a binder, which is the next option here. And then there's a like a fulvic soak. It turns your bath water like a deep blood red, but it helps to pull stuff out of your body also. So that's all like a done for you package. It's like hitting the easy button. So you can do that, or everything that I personally use for my family, I've put together into an Amazon store that you can just go in and you can click and you can find everything in there. Or find your own, find what works for you, grow your own. If you want to do that, in a flower pot in your backyard or go forage and find these things. So whatever works best for you, for your family. Um, the binders. So as your body is detoxing parasites, like I said, the food, the fiber, the water, everything will naturally eliminate and help to get it out. The binders help. So as like when you pull a tick off and it irritates your skin, as you're cleansing parasites, unless you're numbing them, like with the pumpkin seed in that, they're going to resist. And part of that resistance is releasing toxins. And it's the toxins that you will notice their different symptoms. And the binders, so like activated charcoal and any of them, there's the flaxseed. I bake with flaxseed, and then the pumpkin seed we already talked about. But any of them, they are great absorbers, and they absorb the toxin and then eliminate it through you that way. That way your body isn't reabsorbing those toxins and creating more symptoms. And then digestive aids, which I use the chlorella, I can't pronounce it, or spirulina, which I actually have one that combines the both of them together. It's very green, but I just mix it in with my green smoothies. You don't notice a difference. It's got a little sweet taste to it. I think mine has a little stevia or something in it, but basically it just helps uh, coat the stomach lining, helps eliminate the biofilm, which is like what the parasites will put into your body that helps them stay tucked into the folds of your intestines so that um, as you're eating normally, that they're not affected. But once you're doing all this stuff, it breaks through that biofilm. It gets right to the parasites and pushes them out of your body. So all of those digestive aids help in the process, but they're not necessary. Okay, the next one. That went a little faster. Okay, so doing the actual cleanse. Now that we've prepared the body and done all this stuff, right? Eat your healthy diet. Um, I suggest at least 3 months. You can do it even 1 month, you'll notice a difference. It just helps prepare your body and minimizes or completely eliminates any of the symptoms that you might feel during the cleanse. You can add a few of those supplements, um, add like 1 to 3 of them. Do them for a couple of weeks, a week or two before starting the herbal cleanse. And again, it just starts preparing the body and naturally eliminating the parasites. And then once you go into the herbs, it really targets them. For the herbal cleanses with those tinctures, you want to do that for like 3 to 6 months, depending on your symptoms. And then, take a break. You just don't do all the tinctures for a little while. You can do a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and then do it again, just like with your pets. You just do, even if it's an annual cleanse, one every few months, whatever you choose, and it will help minimize the introduction of them even into your body from them hanging around because you're already introducing all these foods that are deterring them from even wanting to stay there. And then, yeah, the maintenance, you just want to do that every few months, annually, whatever works for you, as long as symptoms aren't coming back up. Okay, next one. All right. So I've talked a lot about these symptoms. This is how you're going to know if it's working. And you might not experience any of these symptoms, and that's fine. That's great. That's kind of the goal. If you've provided a good foundation for your body, you probably won't experience the symptoms. And it may vary even within yourself or within your kid from cleanse to cleanse because you might have different parasites in your body. You might have a stronger or weaker immune system depending on the time of the year and what's going on within yourself. You might experience these symptoms right away as you're starting the cleanse, or they could be delayed a few weeks into the cleanse. So some of the symptoms would be like fatigue, just tiredness, kind of like if you have a cold or something. You just kind of notice like feeling lazy or something. Might get headaches, might have brain fog or, just cloudy thoughts. You could even feel a little dizzy, like a little vertigo. Could be the way the toxins are affecting like your inner ear and creating that dizziness instead of the balance that you're used to. You could feel anxiety or depression even as those toxins are being released into your body. You might notice irritability. Physically, you might even feel a little nauseous. You might vomit. That could be a way that they're coming out of your body instead of eliminating through bowel movements. Could be diarrhea, rashes coming out of the skin, or itchiness. You might experience bloating or constipation or gas, just as all of that's going on within your tummy or within your kid's tummy. Uh, know that if you are experiencing these symptoms as you're doing the cleanse, that it's a good thing because the parasites are doing whatever they can to stay in their comfortable home. And, that is causing these symptoms. But then as you're flushing the parasites out, the symptoms also eliminate and go away. You might have gas with all of that, body aches, chills, or the cravings for those sugary or junk foods might increase during this time because those parasites are telling you, no, I'm hungry, give me the sugar. So just be mindful that might happen also. So physical proof, you might physically pass parasites in the toilet that you can actually see. Trust that they are coming out. You just might not see them. You might also notice a change in the stool color or even the texture. So, like I said, just take a peek before you flush. Might even be like mucusy, which could look like there's a mix of diarrhea with the regular stool. And that's part of that biofilm that's coming out. You might have a sore throat. You might even just experience generic flu or cold symptoms. The website that's here, it's also in that guidebook. You can go and you can look at pictures and they're graphic. I'm going to tell you that. But you can look at pictures and see like, oh, that's what that is. If you want to look at other people's results of what's coming out. And then just in general, you start feeling better. The original symptoms that you had start to go away. And then you know that it's working, which is really our goal here. Okay. Second to last slide, and then we'll open up for questions. I do the cleanse, my daughter does the cleanse. Sometimes my husband will participate. Sometimes I just mix it in. And it's part of my regular cooking a lot of times now. And then also my dog. I include her in all of this. Because, well, she's part of the family. She's in my home with kids. They put everything in their mouths. You all know that. You like, no, that's so nasty. But that's how they explore the world, especially when they're younger. That's a part of their sensory, whether it's through texture or taste or any of that. I don't know when that goes away. I know I don't put a lot of things in my mouth, but my my child definitely does. Plus, they're also on the floor more than we are, and so they see things that at our standing height we don't necessarily notice. And it could be food. You might have dropped some food, and it's going in the mouth. um, as parents, we share our food and our drinks with our kids. At least most of us do, and then also with our spouses and all of that. We prepare the food. And so if we have parasites within our systems, that could be unknowingly getting into the food. Also, just when you purchase food, there could be parasites in there. That's why they recommend to wash your food, to actually cleanse it instead of just a rinse off, and to cook your food thoroughly, like with your meats and that. Oftentimes, there's going to be parasites in food or in the meat because technically the meat is dead. It's decaying. We purchase it early enough in the cycle that it doesn't look dead. It doesn't look bad. But that's ultimately what it is. It's no longer a living muscle. And so it's technically dying and it introduces parasites. And, the parasites could have been part of the animal before they were turned into food. And so that gets into our food sources. And then, we might also have a weakened immune system just from the chronic stress that we deal with from day to day. Stress of children, as much as we love them, stress of the work, of our relationships, whatever might be going on, that weakens your immune system, which then provides a space that parasites can come into um, because of that weakened immune system. And then pets. So they might get it from eating something, whether it's outside or it's in their food, but then they also will do their self cleaning. So like they're licking parts of their body that we luckily cannot reach because our children would probably put that in their mouth too. I don't know. But our animals will, clean themselves, but then they also will clean their fur. Well, then we pet their fur and we get it on us. Uh, Also, we pick up after our pets. A lot of us do as we are on a dog walk or cleaning the kitty litter or whatever that might be. And then we pet our animals. Well, where they've been doing their self cleaning, it's going to be on their fur, so we could get it on our hands, which is why it's recommended to always wash your hands um, after petting your animals. Always wash your hands before eating food, putting anything in your mouth. It's harder to stay on top of kids to wash their hands that often. And then also, if your pets give you kisses, I'm not judging anyone because I love my animals and I welcome kisses within moderation. And so that's another way of delivering parasites. And so you just do a cleanse, and you also help cleanse them. We're all in a shared environment, and with that, just like when you share colds, you're all live in the same house. You share parasites. And you share emotions, even hormonally. I know that if you're in a space with a bunch of women continuously, your cycles will sync up because you're sharing those hormones. And so there's just being in the shared environment, you want to do the same things to also cleanse. All right. And now for the last slide before we do questions. So this is all an herbal cleanse, or ways to do things naturally within your body, within your food, different tinctures, how you cook that. And we primarily targeted parasites in our discussion. There are other cleanses that you can do. So you may have heard of like a heavy metal detox. Parasites themselves may absorb heavy metals and then release them into your body. There are some that like act as a sponge. And so they hold them, and then when they get in your body, they release them as they're naturally detoxing and cleansing themselves. Parasites also flourish in an environment that is weakened by heavy metals. Because, like I said, if you have a weakened immune system, they flourish there. So, while it's good to have them together, it's recommended that you would do a parasite cleanse first and then a heavy metal detox. With that Rogers hood, I know it combines the parasites, the heavy metal, and even the candida all together. It's a little bit more intense on the body, but it won't cause any harm. You just might feel more intense symptoms. If you do them sequentially, first it helps to identify which symptoms are associated with what. So if you're doing the parasite cleanse and you've eliminated most of the symptoms, but there's still a few that are lingering, well, they might be associated with something else, like the heavy metals or even the candida, which is a yeast. Um, then there's spike proteins. So anyone that has had the COVID-19 virus or vaccine, these will stay in your body, or they can stay in your body, and so you can detox from them. It also helps to decrease inflammation and restore just your overall optimal health. On the topic of vaccines, I'm not passing judgment one way or another. I know it's a sensitive topic in society. A lot of the vaccines also have heavy metals in them. They've been used like as a preservative in that. I know, at least within the US government, they're making changes now to eliminate aluminum. So that will no longer be part of the vaccines. I think they still have some time to implement that. So even current vaccines might still have that in it. and it's coming into your body. And just environmentally, we just absorb, heavy metals and, the candida, which is like a yeast. So there's other ways that it gets into your body. Uh, these are all a whole nother exploration on their own that we're not going into today. There are natural ways to do each of them. We've discussed that I have that handout that's you can I think it's in the chat, and then probably be included with this replay also, but it outlines everything. It has the storefront links if you want to go source what I use or find your own products, grow your own products. And then also a link to that Rogers hood if you just want a done for you, press the easy button option. So, all right. That was a little long. It's a lot to cover, but I'm very passionate about it.
No, I love it, and I took, like, entirely too many notes, you put so many things together and filled in so many blanks, but I think people are really gonna find this helpful. Um, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to share how can people work more closely with you, what you offer, and all that,
Oh,
and
yeah. I don't
yeah.
even think about those things. I'm just here to share resources and information, but yeah,
Mhm.
so I can work directly with people. I can do like a one-on-one, which could involve this. I would even go so far as doing the cleanse alongside someone. Um, I go into a lot of other things in my one-to-ones that includes like your health and your lifestyle. Um, the basis of what I do is like finding your authentic self, which doing these cleanses and living a healthy lifestyle as you define it, like that's part of your authentic who you are. So I help people find that within their life and what it looks like, and maybe that's within their job. Finding a job that aligns with who you are, or even finding your purpose, and then how do you translate that to your own children and helping them be their best selves. So I have that. I have a one-to-one option. I have like a group where we all like go through this journey together, and we share what we've tried, what works for us, what doesn't, ask questions. So that way you're not alone in the journey. And then, some people aren't open to people. They just want like a self paced, do it yourself on your own time. So I have that option too, that you can kind of just go through. It's kind of like a course set up and then take from it what you want, apply it to your life. And, and so, yeah, those three options. I
Awesome.
have a school community, a website, blueprintmethod.us is the website, and then school community is Blueprint Method.
Okay. Awesome, and I will link both of those,
Oh, yeah.
under, in the replay. Blueprintmethod.us is the website?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you
Awesome.
have any questions, as it pertains to you or your family or what maybe community members have asked or anything?
Yes, I have questions, and I can open up the floor for questions, but how are you doing on time?
I'm I'm good.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. My main 3 questions, I'll keep the recording going for these 3 because some other people might have these, are, okay, so for pregnant and nursing mothers, what do you recommend? I'm still nursing my youngest, and
Yeah.
you do a heavy metal cleanse with, zeolite, and there's also chlorophyll in it,
Yeah.
but I don't do anything else just because I'm careful. So what do you recommend for those
Yeah.
situations?
That's a very good point. I don't know that I it might be included in the handout, but it's generally not recommended, at least to do like a full on cleanse when you're pregnant or nursing, because that's like a detox pathway, especially through the breast, like I said, with the lymph nodes. And so your baby would be absorbing a lot of the toxins that are being detoxed from your body. Um, since so much of this, well, everything I covered was natural, it's still nourishing your body, and your body, even while pregnant or nursing, is still naturally detoxing anyway. So if you're just implementing it into your regular diet and doing just a general day to day, then that's going to be healthy and not cause any concerns or anything. It's just when you're, like, going full on with all the tinctures and all of that could cause a
Mhm.
little more concern.
Yeah, so maybe don't take, like, a wormwood black walnut whole tincture 3 times a day with tea and all of that, but it's okay to, like, swallow some cloves,
Absolutely.
maybe,
Yeah.
and it's okay to maybe mix diatomaceous earth in yogurt in the morning, something like that.
Yep. Yeah, and all of that, they have the nutrients for your body that's gonna benefit you too, in addition to the detox itself.
Okay, that's cool, good to know. And then for children, you mentioned, we can swallow, like, 5 or 6 cloves a day. But what up for children?
So I know with my daughter, we've tried, and it's just she doesn't like the taste, it 'cause she's gonna put it in her mouth and she's gonna move it around. Um, if kids don't try it or like, I just cook with garlic, and that's enough when it comes to kids. Um, Whether you're having them fresh or you're cooking, like, steaming them or anything in the food themselves, you could try and mix it in to other, um I mean, garlic doesn't go well with oatmeal or yogurt or or anything, so it's harder to mask those. You could mix it into, like, a smoothie or something that it would hide most of that flavor for them and get the benefit, but just in general, if you just cook with it, they're still getting the benefits.
Oh, you went, like, garlic cloves. I was thinking about, like, the cloves, like,
Yes,
clove
like an
oil,
actual
like
clove, like, I cut up the clove and
mhm.
swallow. Um, Kids aren't necessarily gonna
But not
do that.
but not garlic. I was thinking of the herb. What is do I have the wrong name for it? Not garlic,
Clove
it's
is a clove is a different herb, but
yeah.
so you have, like, the garlic bulb, the big
Mhm,
chunk, and then each of those
mhm.
pieces is a clove.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about, not the
Not the little clove thing that numbs your
yeah.
mouth. That's another option. Yeah.
Oh, that's for, like, fresh breath, right?
Like
Um,
numbing and all of that. Yep.
yummy. Okay. Okay, and, okay, so because I use biocidin for my 6-year-old, which is a biofilm disruptor,
Yeah.
and then so would a spike protein would, like, a self-assembling polymer be considered a spike protein?
Not
Mm,
like, that doesn't sound familiar to me. I'm not gonna say that it's not, I don't know a lot of things. There's a lot of things out there.
okay.
So
Yeah, this
I
is, like
don't doesn't sound familiar, but
okay. It's material I'm not, like I'm for sure, like, not medical at all, but
yeah.
it's something I've heard of enough to ask about. Okay, so biocidin and then just cooking is good enough for children to incorporate. So that's good. That's good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So basically as soon as children start eating solids, it's good to do these things then. It sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, incorporating them into their foods. You're not gonna do it externally when they're nursing, um, because they're gonna still get the benefits through your body anyway, through
Mhm,
your nutrients. So,
mhm.
if it's part of your life, just a natural, a healthier lifestyle, then they're gonna benefit also.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Those are my main questions. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you so much.